Hi everyone, this is Anne and welcome back to my three-part video series on how to speed read people, particularly the people that you're going on a date with or you're in a long-term relationship. Now my first two videos covered firstly hand reading and just identified a very few signs that you might look out for when you're on a date to potentially identify a toxic person. The second one was looking at the face and facial features as well as facial expressions that might indicate you're with someone who is potentially toxic. And now in this video I'll be drawing on the third area, which is modern psychology. And I draw in all of these elements to give you a very good and clear picture on whether the person you're with might be potentially toxic. Now for this part of the video series, I draw on three pieces of work. One is the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Personality Disorders or for mental disorders. Now that's a very thick and very detailed book or manual. In that book there is what they call Cluster B personality disorders. Now they're the people that have narcissism or sociopathy or borderline personality disordered individuals. The second one is by a very well-known and really a pioneer in this area of identifying a toxic person or a narcissistic person, and that author is called Sam Vaknin. Now he was one of the very few many years ago to identify himself as a narcissist, a cerebral narcissist. And he wrote a vast amount of work, and his most famous piece of work is called Malignant Self-Love, Narcissism Revisited. Now a third piece of work which is really drills down into why you're attracting people, narcissistic or toxic people, into your life, and what is it about you and patterns that you need to break in order to prevent that from happening. And that's a book called Human Magnet Syndrome by Ross Rosenberg. I highly recommend you get that book as well to read that. Now when you're on a date, I just want to identify three things that you need to look out for. And the first one is what they call the waitress test. Now obviously your date has a lot of self-interest in you to make a good impression, and he's doing everything he can to do that. But say the waiter or the waitress, he has really wanting nothing really from that person except, to be served. Just pay attention how he treats that person. If he's courteous and treats that person with respect and kindness, or is he dismissive and quite terse, that might give you insight into some, his personality when dealing with people he has no interest in. The second one, it's very important, is rage. Now rage is where someone is obviously extremely angry and can be dangerous. Now you can liken anger and the stages of anger, say from a scale from 1 to 10, where 1's a little bit annoyed and 10 is full-blown rage. Now usually people take time to get from point 1 to point 10. But say you're with someone who goes within a split second from 1 to 10 to full outrage and what I call a meltdown into insanity. Now at that point, that person can do anything and can be potentially quite dangerous and violent. If you're with someone that can snap very quickly, you're potentially with a toxic person. Just look out for that, and particularly if it happens frequently, with little cause or little reason to be. Now the third one is called gaslighting. Now I'm sure most of you have heard this term. It comes from the movie 1940 movie Gaslight, and in that movie the husband moves things around the house like items, and the wife says, "Did you see that item?" And the husband says, "No, I don't know what you're talking about," but really behind her back he's moving things. Now, this is a form of psychological abuse and manipulation. It can cause you to doubt yourself, and over time it can erode your self of identity. So gaslighting is a very key, one of the most significant signs of testing whether you're with a toxic person. So there are 3 signs. There are many others, 9 or 10 signs on what to look out for narcissistic personality disorder. Remember that a little bit of narcissism is a good thing. We do need to have self-love and self-care. It's only when it's malignant is where you need to really watch out for. And also it can be very hard to detect. You have to look at behaviours over time. It might be overt or covert. There are different forms of narcissism, but there's just a few signs that you need to look out for. So thanks for joining me for this video. I look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye.